Welcome to the 7th week of Presence Process. We're getting off and away. We're over halfway through. And the conscious response for this week is, I feel safe now. And this week we're starting to do the entering of the warm bath. So we're entering more of the emotional stage, and using a warm bath is going to really help to enter more of the emotional body. So we've been working on some of the mental body and the physical body up to this point, and this really increases the emotional body activation. So what he suggests is that we run a warm bath, and then we just lie in it for 15 minutes, and then we get out, and then we do our breath work as usual. As we're lying in the warm bath, we're not going to be breathing, but we're just going to let the warmth of the bath, it's just not overly hot, but just a nice warm bath, to activate the unprocessed charges within our body. And just lying in the bath and focusing on our body and just breathing into our body will naturally do this. We'll start to just be present in the bath, just be there, and anything that's sort of got a charge in it, it's going to have a little heat, is going to open up and surface. So when we get out of the bath, somebody could go on to mute. I was just joining up. Great, thank you. So we feel that heat and the pressure inside of us. There'll be a charge, and then we also feel that there's the heat from the bath outside. So that's going to help. That's going to help on the emotional integration. So he says you only need to do this once a week. So if you get into the bath and you feel the bath water on you for 15 minutes, and then you come out and you just experience whatever you experience during your breath work. You can do this more than once. Some people like to do this daily or a few times a week, just choose how many, but just make sure that you're doing it at least once a week. And it's just going to help to release more of the emotional charge within. And just maybe your breath work, you might be feeling more, releasing more. Don't worry if you're not, but sometimes that can happen because the bath can activate more of the emotional body. The heat from the bath can do that for some people. So that's the new homework. We're going to be doing that for a few more weeks. So that's and so just making sure that you, and if you don't have a bath and you're away or there's a shower, just make sure that you just use the shower and do that process in the shower. There's no particular breath, remember, during the bath. It's just to be experiencing being covered in water, making sure as much as your body is covered, not your head, but as much as your body. And he just suggests to drink lots of water when you're doing this. So drinking water. So this week he talks a lot about just getting into our bodies. It's incredible the pull to try and understand things, particularly if we've been triggered or we're feeling activated in any way, if someone's pressed our buttons, if life's brought an uncomfortable charge to the surface, our knee-jerk response is to try and understand it with the mind and to get into the mental plane. And once we get onto the mental plane, he says we're in a sort of illusionary corridor where we come out of presence and we've escaped ourselves and we're kind of trying to work things out, but we're in the past or the future and we're not present anymore. And it's not beneficial to do this. And he said that this starts in childhood when we feel unsafe and there's unsafe things happening around us, painful, challenging experiences. We escape our body, we escape the present moment, and we end up on this mental plane trying to work everything out in the past or future, or in this mental understanding, this analysis. And what we really want to do is, we left because of fear, and we really want to come back out of this mental illusion and come into our bodies. And this leaving our bodies is a very reactive response. It's an understandable response from when there was difficult things in childhood. We escaped, but what we're doing here and now is coming back into our bodies, coming back in and holding. So when we don't feel safe, we will often try and cling to those mental planes and tell stories and what's going on. And we're trying to control things because we're not feeling safe. But really the kind of opportunity with the presence process is just returning to presence and returning back into our bodies. And he's saying that these charges, when people upset us or annoy us or whatever is happening in the world that's bringing up difficult feelings, he's saying this is an opportunity and this is a gift. So we want to really look at these moments and really try as a practice to stop the mental chatter and to enter the body. And it's quite something, if you do feel charged, just to really watch the mind and just to keep staying with the body, to keep breathing into the feeling in the body, and noticing the mind might want to get into a story, and then just, sorry about that, and that was tough, but and just staying with ourselves. He's saying that there's a lot of energy and fuel and life force that we can tap into. So we want to really use the opportunities of being charged as an opportunity for practicing. And if we can stay present, it's really something quite beautiful to drop out of story, to drop out of all of our beliefs, and just to stay with the imprint and just breathing into an uncomfortable feeling without story. We do feel a lot more present. So really practice that. It's not easy. But it's something that we really need to keep practicing. And he says some interesting sentences in this chapter, things like maybe everything in life, is just that triggers us is just it's just a setup to wake us up, to grow, so that there's a lot of there's a lot of opportunity for us to integrate the unprocessed stuff, and there's a lot of opportunity to be set up. So we start to look at it like, this is an opportunity for me to be set, to integrate, rather than life's doing something, that's challenging. It's more looking at it as I can grow and I can evolve if I just feel the charge. And I choose to enter the body. I choose to stay present with it. If we're doing that, we're actually reparenting our inner child. The inner child within us starts to feel safe. We're not in lots of story, lots of blame, lots of complaint. We're just with ourselves and we're holding ourselves. And if we, take more responsibility, we could do a time travel meditation to see if we can go back and see how we keep reigniting the same charge, or we can just stay with the feeling and compassionately hold it like a parent does. This is us taking responsibility, and the child within just starts to soften, starts to feel safer. So we look out for the messengers, we continue to look out for the messengers, we continue to just be with ourselves unconditionally, just holding space, all the charges that are coming, and just feeling the uncomfortability of them when they arrive. He talks about he stresses, this. I think sometimes we really cling onto our stories because maybe we feel like we need to set a boundary with someone, or we need to, we don't feel safe in a situation, or something needs to be said or done. And we can, we can do what needs to be done to keep ourselves safe, but we can also try and really minimize the projections onto the messenger. And he says, even if our story would stand up in a court of law, can we drop the story and can we just stay with the feelings in the body and feel through it, breathe through it? So the stories that we're telling aren't validating our feelings. It's not the stories that we're telling or someone else validating our feelings from the outside. No, nothing is going to validate our feelings on a mental level, even though it can feel like it for a moment. What really validates our feelings is us just staying with them and holding them and breathing into them and soothing them. Like our ability to mother or father ourselves, that's really the validation. The feeling is just valid. The feeling is completely valid because it's there. It's in our body, and it doesn't need anything but our holding. And we don't need to, it doesn't need to make sense. We don't need to understand the feelings that are moving through. So if we do start to believe the stories that we're telling, and then we'll start to change our behavior to who we're around. If we really believe these stories, then our behavior is going to change. Our choices will behave, and there'll be a lot of reactivity from believing our stories. And really, he keeps coming back to the fact that the imprints are within us, and they're old, and we're manufacturing scenarios because of our imprints. So these people are coming to press the buttons to help us to evolve and grow. So we just keep taking responsibility and saying, okay, it's something in me that's creating this. And if I can get to those childlike places and hold them compassionately, then it starts to get to the root rather than trying to work with the effect. You know, I'm going to the cause rather than the effect. So this week he says that if we feel confused at any point and we feel a bit muddled, that's a good sign. That's a sign that the mental activity is getting a little bit, ooh, and that's a good sign. We want the mind to get a bit confused. It's the way the mind can't work it out. We're doing the feeling and there's not really a place for the mind so much. So confusion is welcome, not making sense is welcome. We just want to just keep doing what we're doing. And it's just clearing stuff out. And it's very, very hard to grasp all of this stuff on a mental level and to fully grasp it. It's big stuff. It's really looking at the kind of energetic underprints of what's going on in life. And it's hard to keep a hold of that because we get a bit transfixed with our lives. But all we need to remember is drop the story, enter the body, stay present. That's the sort of the main message. So we've been doing a lot of the breathing so far, and the breathing's been getting us physically in our body. And then we've been doing the conscious responses and the reading of the text. That's been getting us into our more mental capacity. And this bath and this week is moving us into the emotional, as I say. So we're kind of going through the different stages of clearing and cleansing and purifying ourselves. So as we do this, we start to step into more presence. If we can really try just doing what we're doing, we're stepping into more presence, doing the best that we can, committing to this process, we're stepping into more presence. But as we're really clearing out the dregs with the bath, and that we're getting to the underpinning of all of the stories, all of the mental chatter, all of the ways that we escape presence, and we're coming back. And this presence is unconditional. It's life force. It's intelligent. It's in the flow. So when we start to tap more into that, we start to find more synchronicities, more opportunities. The right people arrive at the right time. We start to sense that there's some sort of divine orchestration at play, and we might get little glimpses of that. And we think of someone and they call, and all of these sort of things. We're getting more in touch with that presence, more in touch with that connectivity beyond ourselves. So it's that's some of the goodness that starts to come from the purging out of all of the uncomfortable bits. We start to get the glimpses of feeling more of that gratitude and that joy that the presence brings. And he says that we're in the world but not of it, and that's the sort of sense of we do what we need to do, but we're not so identified with this person that we are. We're more identified with the presence that we are, that's within all things. So we do play our roles and we do play our part and we do what we need to do, but we can also allow presence to be part of all of that, so that there's less effort. Presence can move through and do what needs to be done too. And we connect more to that place that's never changing, that's eternal within us. And that's a good feeling. It's a beautiful space to dip into. So what I think I might share is just a little bit about really dropping into our bodies, just a little meditation, just for 5 minutes, just to drop into our bodies, to to just maybe remember a time that was a bit challenging this week and have a little practice of being with our bodies so that we can just hold that throughout the week, just remembering that we can always just drop into the body, and the more we drop into the body, the more safe we are. It's the stories that really take us off and away. So just closing the eyes and just sensing your body and feeling your body. And just bringing to mind a situation in the last week or 2 weeks where you felt some charge that was unpleasant. You felt a trigger, you felt something was difficult within your body. And just getting a sense of a bit of that story. And breathing into it. We don't want to choose something that was, more than a 5 out of 10, something that was just slightly activating. We don't want to choose something really mobilizing. But just breathing into that. And just seeing how it is in your body to remember that. And just fully allow it to be there. Almost with your breath welcoming it. We tell enough of the story to get the activation. So drop into some of that imprint, and then we allow the story to dissolve. We just stay fully with the sensations. Perhaps how does the chest feel, the belly feel, solar plexus? And just noting to yourself, maybe if there's a physical sensation or an emotion, just making a mental note. You could even say it out loud or just internally, just what emotion or sensation is here. And if you don't feel it too strongly, that's okay, because it takes practice to tune into our bodies and really scan what's happening. See if you can just notice if there's any thoughts that pop in and out around the sensation, or if you can just really stay with the body and what's happening in the body. And just attuning to this emotion, this sensation, like you were a parent to it right now, like you were a kind, wise parent. And just maybe it feels good placing your hand where it is. And just asking what it needs or how it would like to be supported right now. Maybe there's a quality that it might need. You want to feel through your hand the sensations of kindness or safety or trust, or rest, connection, whatever it is. Just see if you can offer that vibrationally, just through your imagination, and maybe seeing light entering that place through your hand. Maybe there's words that want to be said. Maybe this place needs some kind words. It's okay to feel what you're feeling, or your feelings are welcome. I'm here. It's okay. You're safe. Just see if this part of you, this emotion or this sensation can sense the safety coming from you, can sense the warmth coming from you. See if there's anything else that it needs right now. Take a moment to check in and just see if it's softened or if anything's changed. It's okay if it's the same, but see if anything has shifted. Just notice where you are now around that. And when you're ready, taking a breath in and a breath out, and coming back to open your eyes. I think it's really good to be present with ourselves and away from the story and with the sensation, but it's also really welcome to allow some compassion, allow some care, allow some support for that place as well. We can open up to that and really offer ourselves what we need. So that's just a little example of just really just, okay, away from story into the body. Let me stay with my body. What does my body need? What does this sensation need? What does this emotion need? And offering it to ourselves, just feeding ourselves, soothing ourselves. So that's a little exercise. We have lots of different meditations on here, but it's really good to practice coming away from the stories and into our bodies this week, because that's what starts to make us safe. Even though our minds think it's safer when it's analyzing and trying to control, it's actually safer when we're in the body and we're soothing our nervous systems in our body. So that's all I will share about this week. I'm going to press stop